Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first of hopefully many CanSpace solutions webinars featuring top experts across various fields. My name is Artashis Tumanov. I will be your host today. So thank you to every one of you who is joining us live. For those watching this webinar's recording through social media channels, CanSpace has been providing enterprise-level web hosting solutions since 1998. The company caters specifically to Canadian individuals, businesses, and government organizations. It is also the leading Canadian .ca domain registrar. Our guest today is one of Canada's top search engine optimization talents, Corey Bourada from SEO Plus digital marketing agency. We're very excited to have you with us, Corey. The idea of these webinars is to learn, but also to keep, we'll try to keep the flow relatively relaxed and fun. So we're going to start by letting Corey introduce himself, talk about SEO, as well as share the latest relevant techniques that you can apply to organically improve your website traffic today and also going into 2024. We will then open the floor to you, our attendees, to ask our guests any SEO related questions you may have. I will also ask a few questions of my own. So there are a couple of ways to ask a question. You can either type your question by clicking on a Q&A button located below on your Zoom screen. Some of you already figured that out. Or you can ask a question verbally by raising your hand, by clicking on the raise hand button also below. I will see all your questions and requests in the order in which they're received, and we will try to get to as many of them as we can. So without further ado, Corey, the floor is all yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Artash. Perfect. I appreciate the introduction. Before we begin, let's maybe get the chat involved a little bit. Where's everyone tuning in from? I'm from Ottawa. Artash, where are you from?
I'm based in Montreal.
Montreal. Okay. Where's anyone else? Toronto. Okay. Vince. Yeah. Okay. I won't ask you guys how the Jays game went last night. Ottawa. Okay. Cool. Calgary. Some more Ottawa. Okay, nice.
So a lot of Ontario.
Yeah,
so.
Halifax. All right, so good Canmore. Okay, nice. Some good representation here. Okay, so let's get started now. So a little bit about me. Corey Bourada. So I'm an SEO specialist at SEO Plus. I've been in SEO for over 3 years. My passion's in, obviously search engine optimization and lead generation for, small businesses, primarily focusing in, B2B, e-commerce, local, and just overall content marketing. Those are my kind of areas of expertise. SEO Plus is a leading Canadian digital marketing agency in Canada. We were established in 2012, over 50 plus employees. And we are a Google Premier and Meta partner and Shopify partner. Winner of many different campaign awards, including the Canadian Search Awards for Best SEO Campaign. So we're going to get started with some kind of introductions to SEO. So what exactly is it? Basically, it's the process of improving quality and quantity of website traffic to your website or web page from search engines. So this could be any type of search engine, Google, YouTube, even Bing. There's many different search engines out there, but primarily the focus is on Google because they carry a large percentage of the organic traffic. I think we have the chat working now. So if you guys want to use the chat for some of your comments, feel free.
Let's keep the Q&A now for just the questions, and we'll use the chat now.
Perfect. All righty. So we'll get into SEO now. So there's three main pillars to SEO that you need to know about. On page, so that's basically everything kind of visually on your website that users can see. Off page, which is basically everything that's not on your website and on other kind of social platforms and other websites. And technical SEO, which is kind of the behind the scenes, more the code and how search engines can basically crawl and index your website. So it's just a bit more technical. All right, so why exactly SEO? Why is that important? Well, Google's mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Basically, they want to ensure that all questions can get answered and people have access to whatever information they need, and from a business perspective to inform their strategy and whatnot. There are 8.5 billion searches per day as of my last source for the statistic, which is just over one search per person per day. So maybe you performed some Google searches today. Maybe you just searched where your physical office is to load up Google Maps. But definitely a very useful form of traffic. And it's responsible for 53% of all website traffic. So far and away the biggest provider. You've got ads, you've got direct, social, but organic is definitely the leading source of traffic, and it's technically free traffic. Little caveat to that, although you're not paying for it from influencers or paid ads, there is a lot of time and resources that goes into SEO, but you're not directly paying for it, just more indirectly through just time and resources. And the point of SEO is to basically increase rankings, increase your traffic, convert those into leads, and eventually sales. That's obviously the premise for most forms of traffic, but that's the flow for SEO. So what exactly ranks on SEO, on search engines? Basically, you want to look at the search intent. So every search comes with some sort of problem or question. That's where it all starts. So whatever is on your website, you need to match the user's search intent. So I like to kind of put myself in the shoes of someone searching something on Google, and consider what are they looking for, what do they want to see, and what will satisfy their search. And if you can do that, you'll increase your chances of ranking. And your website needs to provide a good user experience, because of Google's mission to provide information to everyone, they want to serve their audience websites that provide a good experience. So if your website isn't, you'll have a harder time ranking. So the content that can best satisfy the user's search intent will rank the highest. That's the kind of premise that I like to operate off of. So we'll start with the first pillar of SEO, which is on-page SEO. So there's three things that we're going to go over here. The first being keyword research. So these are kind of the most important things of on-page that you guys need to know. So you want to consider who your audience is and what they are searching for. This can vary across many different types of businesses and niches. For example, if you are a local plumber, your audience is probably someone who needs plumbing services kind of ASAP. They're more bottom of the funnel. They're searching for plumber Toronto, plumber Montreal, plumber Ottawa, and that's where kind of the bread and butter is, where most of your traffic will be coming from. Where are they in the sales funnel? Again, are they top of funnel, bottom of funnel? And what is their search intent? The search intent is basically the why of their search. Every keyword has a search intent, and if you can understand, what additional questions that person who's typing that keyword has, you will give yourself a better chance to rank if you can answer that content or those questions with your content. And just a little tip for keyword research to start: I highly recommend using your competitors. They basically have the blueprint for you already. So there's plenty of tools out there that can help with this. A few of them, SEMrush, Ahrefs. You can just throw your competitor's domain into these tools, and you can see all the keywords that they're ranking for. Next up is content. So once you got your keywords, you need to make sure that your content is speaking to your audience. So whatever their question is, or even if it's not a question, there's definitely a problem that they're trying to solve. If you can answer that problem and provide valuable content for them through your copy, then you will give yourself a better chance to rank. So this content can come from many forms. It could be text, so the actual text on your page. It can be images. Maybe there's an infographic that really kind of provides a lot of clarity and value to what you're trying to show your audience. It could be videos. You can embed videos on your website. Any type of content that you think your audience would benefit from will help your SEO. Structuring your content is important. So making sure that throughout the page everything's nice and neat with a table of contents, proper headings, so that the user can kind of go through the page and make sure that they're following along. Providing unique insights. So if someone's kind of more top of funnel and they're searching up, if they have a question and they want to kind of know a bit more information about it, if you can provide some unique insights that's not already out there, not only will you kind of keep people on the page longer, but you'll increase your rankings as well. And then always just over deliver on value. This is something that you've probably heard before, just in any aspect of your business, but providing as much value as you can and going above and beyond with your content will definitely improve the trust that you have with your audience. Can help nurture them and move them along the sales funnel, which is the tip here. Keep moving your audience down your sales funnel. So a lot of times, if it's more top of funnel, it's really hard to convert that audience member that's a bit too cold of traffic. If you over deliver and you provide them additional insights that they haven't heard before, and link to other pages on your website, that can move them down your sales funnel. And then the third thing here is metadata. So metadata is a word that some of you may not have heard before. This is basically like these are the most important things from like the search engine perspective. And there are three areas that you really want to focus on specifically for your keywords. So once you've got your keywords and once you've got your content, then you're optimizing your page. And that's the title tag. So if you perform a search on Google, you'll see that title there. That is the title tag Google on the search engine results page. That is one of the most important parts of ranking on Google. The H1, which is basically the title at the top of your actual page, like just the visual title, that is equally as important as your title tag. They aren't technically the same. They can be different. I'd recommend keeping them as close as possible to each other. It's also a very high ranking factor. And your URL structure. And I highly recommend putting the keywords into your URL, your title tag, and your H1. So for example, if someone's typing in what is SEO, my title tag might be what is SEO, complete guide, complete comprehensive guide. My H1 might just be what is SEO, everything you need to know. And then my URL would be, the domain / what is SEO. Pretty straightforward. One tip here with keywords, don't keyword stuff. This is something that people used to do back in the day, but it's definitely been, with Google's algorithm, it's no longer kind of feasible. Keyword stuffing is kind of like just shoving a bunch of your keywords on your page as much as possible to try and improve your rankings. I've had a few clients that have asked about this before, and it's definitely something that can get you in trouble and hurt your performance. So highly don't recommend it. 1 to 2 mentions on your page should suffice. So now we're going to get into off-page SEO. So we talked about what was on the page. Now we're going everywhere else on the internet that is not your own website. So this is the second pillar. So search engines actually use signals off of your website to determine your own website authority and your rankings. So even though your content might be really good and provide a lot of value, how do search engines like Google know that you're trustworthy? If you're mentioned elsewhere, like on social platforms or on other websites, this is essentially a signal to Google that you are more legit and trustworthy. And it's kind of like digital word of mouth. That's the way I like to look at it. So backlinks. Backlinks is something that you may have heard before, but what exactly is a backlink? Basically, it's when another website links to your own website. So a backlink is a hyperlink that directs from one website to another. So in this example here, we've got a little article in this image by this guy, Matthew. And on this website, he is linking to this, I guess this Ivar's seafood chain. So technically, this is a backlink for the seafood chain. And the reason this is important is because Google looks at this website and they see that they're linking to the seafood chain, which is basically like they're talking about them. They're relevant. So Google sees that, and their algorithm thinks, oh, well, the seafood chain must be, more important. It must be legit and trustworthy. Therefore, you rank a bit higher for that specific page, or even just your overall website. They're basically, backlinks are viewed as endorsements. When one website links to another, it signifies that the linking website recognizes and values the content and authority of the linked site. So more backlinks, more rankings. Almost always. There's a caveat with that. You want to focus on quality backlinks. So how exactly do you get these? Well, there's a number of ways to do this, but there's 3 that I really prefer. The first is to create quality content. Now, that's pretty vague, but if you think, what would make someone link to your website? Basically having valuable content. So if you think like maybe Statista comes out with a bunch of statistics on SEO or any other niche, other journalists are going to want to link to that content because it's primary research. There are good data points in there, and they provide more value for their own article. So just if you create something with nice visuals, maybe infographics, research, or any unique takes, just ask yourself, what would cause someone to want to talk about my content? The second way is outreach, and this kind of goes hand in hand. Outreach is basically when you actually reach out to other websites and journalists and request to be featured on their website, and you can do this by asking them to specifically link to something that you've already created. Or you can just say, hey, I want to create a guest post. I'd love to write content on your website and link back to my own website. This is a very, very popular technique, and it's definitely something that we focus on in our organization. And then directories and citations are just kind of more low-hanging fruit. They're a lot easier, time intensive. So directories, kind of like Yelp, Hotfrog, Foursquare. There's hundreds and hundreds of different directories and citations where you can actually get your business listed, and these technically count as backlinks. So my tip with this, though, is to think long term and provide values for others. If you're looking to get a backlink tomorrow, it's probably not going to happen. I would definitely think about it in your overall kind of PR strategy, and think in terms of months instead of days. And the third pillar here is technical SEO. So technical SEO addresses the underlying technical aspects of a website that can impact your search rankings. So there are a number of different elements to look at with technical SEO. I won't get into the really granular details, but basically you want to make sure that the search engine, like Google and its algorithm, can actually use your website to rank your content. So Google has crawlers that go around from website to website to determine the search results. So can crawlers actually find your content? Can they use your content? Can they see it? And there's different code that you can implement on your website that affects this. Does your website load quickly, and is it mobile friendly? As of a few years ago, Google actually uses the mobile version of your website as the primary version for ranking, as opposed to the desktop version. And that's because most searches now are actually done on our phones. So if you have a website that doesn't load quickly and your website isn't mobile friendly, there's a very good chance you're not going to rank as well as you'd like. And your website code. So although your content may look good visually for the user, if in the back end it's very messy and it's hard to follow and there's a lot of code in there, it can actually kind of take up more bandwidth and create issues for the crawler when they're kind of analyzing your website for rankings. So clean code, having a useful website that is able for crawlers, and mobile friendliness. That's a good question. I see there's a few questions. We'll come back to the end of these. So the takeaway from technical SEO for me is it won't help you win, but it can make you lose. And what I mean by that is content and backlinks can really help you improve rankings and whatnot, but technical SEO can really hurt you. If it's bad technical SEO, then your website won't be useful, and although that content and backlinks are really strong, it won't matter. So just make sure your technical SEO isn't hurting you. So let's get into what we're seeing in 2024. So we'll start off. We got 3 trends here. We'll start off with AI. I'm sure many of you have gone down the path of AI in the past year or so. What we're seeing from SEO and AI is a lot. Actually, people are generating complete websites using AI, which is pretty crazy. But from a quality perspective, you want to make sure that you're not just relying on AI to generate your content. So a lot of times you can ask, ChatGPT, hey, write me an article about whatever your niche is, and it can actually write you, a pretty decent article, but it's not good enough out of the box. So relying solely on AI is not a good idea because it doesn't necessarily provide, those unique insights that you need in order to provide value for your audience. It won't rank by itself. You need to add some kind of human editing to it, but it can cut down on a lot of time, on your research, on your content preparation. So if you're looking to scale your content, AI is definitely an area where you can leverage it to cut down on a lot of time. And there's plenty of tools out there that can help with that, ChatGPT being one of them. Next, we're seeing is mobile user experience. So this has obviously been in the works for a few years, but it's still relevant. And there's still websites out there that are not kind of taking mobile as serious as they should. You need to make sure that your website is optimized for mobile users. That should be the focus. So if you're designing your website or if you're creating a new type of page, really considering how this looks and is usable on mobile is very important. And then finally, backlinks. They are still king in SEO. For really competitive niches and keywords, you're going to require more backlinks from quality websites in order to rank. Not every kind of keyword and page needs backlinks, but for the really competitive ones, they can make a huge difference in your overall rankings. So although there's plenty of debate online about, the effect of backlinks and how important they are. They always have been and likely will be in the future, the most important thing, or at least one of. So here's some tools that you guys can actually use today that are all free to kind of help your SEO right now. So the first is HARO, or Help a Reporter Out. Forgot a word there. Help a Reporter Out. Helpareporter.com is basically it's a service where 3 times a day you're going to get emails sent to you, and in these emails are actually journalists who are looking for experts in a variety of niches. They're looking for quotes and comments from people just like you in your own niche, and they essentially want to use your quote for their own article. So it's something that's a staple in our organization. We use it for all of our clients when they're on our link building services, and it's very useful and it's no cost to you, just time, and you can really establish yourself as an authority in your niche. It helps your overall PR efforts, gets your brand out there more. It can help you just show that you're like, oh, look, I'm featured on Forbes or New York Times, and it can help generate backlinks. So it's a no-brainer for me. Google Keyword Planner. So this is actually a keyword tool that is free to use. So you can, it's essentially a Google Ads platform, but you can also use it to influence your SEO decision making. You can type in a keyword, so for example, SEO, and you can see the volume of searches for that keyword, and as well a variety of related keywords. So I can definitely give you some ideas on things you might want to target and the volume of searches that exist. And then last is page speed insights. So I mentioned website speed a few times. So you can actually use page speed insights to see how fast your website is currently loading. So I highly suggest you head over to the website and check it out. You can see your mobile website and your desktop to kind of gauge, how fast your website is. And then there's a whole breakdown of things that you can do to improve. And that's pretty much the gist of SEO from the 3 pillars and some tools that you guys can use. There's a lot more granular details, but we have a little offer for you guys here. SEO Plus and CanSpace Solutions has teamed up to give you guys a complimentary SEO assessment and a 15-minute call with one of our team members. So if you're interested in seeing kind of where you're at, your website's at, and what you can do from organic perspective to increase your traffic and leads, I highly suggest heading over to the URL right there that Artash has put in the chat kindly. Just fill out your information, and one of our team members will be in contact with you, and we can see what you can do to improve your SEO performance. There are a bunch of questions, it looks like, so we'll get into some of those.
Okay. So, I wanted to thank you for the amazing presentation. Beautiful slides. I can see that you're taking your slides very, very seriously. And
we take our slides seriously here.
Yeah. So as I'm opening the floor to questions, and we already have, I see like a few really great questions popping up in the Q&A. I remind people that there are 2 ways to ask. You can talk, you can just raise your hand using the button below, or use another button below called Q&A and type in your questions. So it's completely up to you. But in the meantime, I'd like to ask you just a couple of questions that you kind of like mentioned on one of them in your presentation regarding the backlinks. You talk about the quality backlinks. Question is, should you buy backlinks? Especially I see from time to time there's some legacy media companies that have sponsored sections, okay, and they sell those. And in my understanding, Google doesn't really penalize legacy media companies. So, or let's say like it's not even a media company, but any website that fits your interest or fits your segment, should you buy backlinks?
It's a very good question. I'm sure many participants here have gotten emails from someone halfway around the world saying that they will sell them thousands of backlinks for their website. I think we've all kind of gotten those messages before, but I highly recommend not doing that specifically. Google doesn't recommend buying backlinks, but there are plenty of websites that still do it, and there's websites that still sell backlinks, and they perform very well. So if you're going to do it, I would highly suggest, vetting the website, a lot ahead of time. It's not a primary focus for us. We like to generate our backlinks through quality content and outreach, and like to work with, our network of journalists in that regard. So it's not something that I'd focus on, but technically you can. It's just not something that I'd recommend personally.
Another question was regarding some of the mistakes people do, like in their optimization strategy that can backfire, like whether, or get their website penalized in some way. Can you mention on some of the things that people absolutely should not do, not to hurt their SEO?
Yeah, there's definitely plenty of things that you can do. First is, I mentioned it before, keyword stuffing. So if you're trying to rank for a specific keyword on your page and you just think that throwing it into the content a bunch of times will help, that's actually, counterintuitive. Google's algorithm can see that. Hiding text on your website. So like, even if you didn't want to make your readability poor, but you wanted to write the keyword and blend it into the background of the of your page to hide it. Google can track that as well. So hiding keywords, I wouldn't recommend doing in any regard. PBNs, I'm not sure if anyone's ever heard of PBNs before. Private brand network. Actually, yeah, I think so. Basically, these are like kind of websites where the sole purpose is to link out to a bunch of different websites. It's very spammy. These still exist, and you can still do them, and it's definitely something that was leveraged a lot, a decade ago. But it's something that is a dangerous game to play, and so I personally wouldn't recommend it. It's kind of like a sneaky way and quick way to get backlinks. It's not my recommended way of doing it. And then I mentioned AI as well, private blog network. There you go. AI, like if you just post a bunch of AI content, like you can technically, there's tools out there where you can generate thousands of pages in less than a day. But this content's very low quality, and in the short term, you might see some success. Long term, you'll just absolutely destroy your website, and you'll basically never be able to recover from it. So if you're going to use AI, I definitely think it's a great idea, but just make sure you're adding kind of the human touch and you're doing your due diligence on it and providing value.
So let's take some questions that are people writing in. Question from Tim. You also see the questions, right? I assume. Yeah. So he says, I have been told that having other similar domains, for example, website.com, forward to your website, website.ca, can actually hurt SEO. Yet we don't want to miss any customers who enter the wrong URL. Your suggestion?
So basically having like the .com and the .ca.
Yeah, like if their primary website is a .ca, they would just also have the .com version, and they would probably like forward the traffic to the .ca.
Yeah, I don't think that'll hurt your SEO at all. You can forward the .com to the .ca without any concern, as long as that .com version doesn't have any kind of like previous bad practices, as long as it wasn't manually marked by Google for bad SEO practices. There's no concern there.
Question from Vince. What is the best way to see your URL ranking online?
Yeah. So there's a number of ways. First one, I would go with Google Search Console. So this is free. You have to set it up ahead of time, but basically you can connect Google Search Console, which is a tool by Google, where you can see your search clicks, your search impressions, and you can go by page or by keyword. So if you want to see a specific keyword, page, and what keywords are ranking for that, you can use that. But again, that does have to be done ahead of time. And then the other options are SEMrush. So I'll get the link for that. But you can throw in your website on SEMrush and actually see all the keywords that your own website is ranking for. And you can go by page too. So if you want to see a specific page, those are my two favorite. Google Search Console, which is free. You just have to do it ahead of time. And then SEMrush, and you can compare against your competitors.
The second question from Tim is like, I'm helping with a site built on Squarespace. It uses headings as a way to stylize text that is not actually a heading, but it really works for the aesthetics of the site. I was encouraged to make the headings actual headings and make the current headings into paragraph text, but that would interfere with the aesthetics. So Squarespace does not allow me to override the font or the size for a block of text. So I have to set it as a heading or paragraph level to adjust text and size. Could this really hurt SEO to use headings this way?
Okay, a lot to unpack there. With your headings, you just want to make sure the structure is done correctly. So if you think about like a blog, we'll go with like an article. You have kind of the main H1. There should only be one H1 on the page. And then let's say there's 4 main sections of that article. Those are your H2s. And then within each of those, you'll have H3s and H4s and so on. I recommend that they be, they follow the same size, but if you use large heading or large text and, classify it as paragraph text and not a heading, it's not the end of the world. I wouldn't even put it as a heading if it doesn't fall under kind of one of the main, themes of the page. But if you just want really large text, that's fine. I was encouraged to make the headings actual headings and make the current headings into paragraph text. So I hope I answered that. I would definitely have like some heading structure on the page though.
One question from Guy. Does it help to organize and group content into several different websites and backlink the websites together?
Having multiple websites kind of like in your network is a good idea. I would keep all of your content on, like all of your primary content on one website though. So if you're looking at a specific niche, let's say it's AI is what you're going for. The more content about AI you have on one website, the better, because Google will see all of the content you have. And if you can answer nearly every question about AI on one website, they will see you as an authority on that topic for your one website, and essentially all of your keywords and pages will have an increase in rankings. Having additional websites is good, and you can talk about the same stuff as long as it's not duplicate content. It's just a lot more time intensive to have multiple websites. So it can be a good strategy, but I would definitely optimize one website ahead of before you kind of separate into multiple.
What are your thoughts on a business that makes desktop only web pages mobile friendly?
it makes desktop only
web pages mobile friendly.
Oh, like a business opportunity. There might be something there. It's a really, really small niche. Most website builders, like most websites, are built on platforms that have mobile friendliness already, like WordPress and Squarespace. It's all pretty easy, even for someone who's not technically sound. I would say there's probably not a lot of opportunity there, and if you don't already have a mobile friendly website, it's likely that there's not a lot of money there, and I would probably go after a niche with a bit more opportunity from that end.
Interesting question that actually came through chat. I'm seeing all these questions. Does putting a link to your website in your email signature get tracked by search engines?
Not really. They may be able to see it. I don't really think so, though. It's not something that's going to help your SEO, but it's definitely a good idea.
Okay. And another question in the chat, should you add your website link at the bottom of the footer? In the past, we did this, but not sure if it ranks.
Your own link at the
footer
of your...
Yeah, this is how I understand it. Your own website. So link to your own website in your own footer. That's how I understand
it. You likely have the link in your logo in the navigation menu already, or under like home. I don't think linking your website in your own footer would really have much of an effect. It's not something that we focus on, but if you wanted to help the user get back to the home page, if you think that they're going to get to the bottom footer, then that's a good idea.
Try to find it very quickly. So the question was, in publishing, any value in backlinking articles to Wikipedia? So I'm not sure what that means. Maybe if you understand it better, then maybe you can address it in how you understand it.
Yeah, I think it means like in publishing your own content, linking to Wikipedia as like a reference, which using external sources from trustworthy websites is a great idea in your own content. It can really help Google see that you're putting in the research and provide value to your users and your audience. So yeah, Wikipedia. I mean, the thing about Wikipedia is it can always be kind of like edited. I think it'll go back to what it originally was. So there might be other websites, like if you're in the health niche, going to Mayo Clinic or any of the other bigger websites. So yeah, basically Wikipedia or any other large websites that are trustworthy is a good idea to link out to in your content.
That's something that actually, another question is something that I can relate to, because it happens so often with browser recommendations when people try to type in the domain. And I actually have also a question regarding that, but it's like I have a new website, but when people type let's say domain like shelfword.ca into their Chrome browser, the browser takes them to shelby.ca. What can I do to correct this?
I kind of want to see this shelfword.ca. And it takes, okay, it doesn't actually do it, but on my end. So that has been redirected, it seems, which is basically, it's like it's a directive in the code. It just says, redirect this URL to this URL. So you'll have to access the kind of where that redirect was placed on the shelfword.ca domain. So that could be within the CMS or the hosting or at the domain level. Whoever kind of built the website would have the best idea for that, best answer for that
one. A question from me is like, how does the domain affect SEO? Like, which domains perform better? Like, does a keyword-based domain name play any role, or if you can comment on that?
Yeah, definitely keywords can affect rankings. So if you think about like like especially in local SEO, like if you're a dentist in a specific city, let's say you're a dentist in Montreal, and your website domain is montrealdentist.ca, you're probably going to rank higher for someone typing in Montreal dentist, just because it's just a very kind of targeted domain. That can definitely help. I've seen that a lot of times. I see that with our own clients, their competitors. So if you do have those websites, they are valuable. However, if you cover more of a broad topic, I wouldn't limit yourself to a specific niche like that, because then you'll have more difficulty ranking for other categories that you may like serve, other niches. So you don't have to use that, but it can definitely help.
You mentioned local SEO, but can you explain what the difference is between the different types of SEO, which is like a business to business or local or e-commerce?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of different types of SEO. Yeah, local, multi-location, e-commerce, content marketing, which can be kind of anything. There's different strategies. So for something like e-commerce, you really want to focus on your collection pages, your category pages, your product pages, and then leveraging a blog to kind of get cold traffic as well can help. Local SEO is a lot more narrow in terms of the work that you need to do. You really want to make sure that your Google business profile is also optimized. So that's kind of like the profile that appears on the map. And also like your landing, your main homepage is obviously super important for local, and some service pages as well. You want to focus there. If you're multi-location, you'd probably want your main service to have a location page for every location that you're in. So if you have a physical location across many cities in Canada, you're going to want a page for each of those to compete with the local presence there. And then if you're more of if you're a product that like people don't know about a lot, you can still benefit from SEO, as long as you speak to the problem and then essentially cross-sell to the product at some point in your sales funnel.
There's a question, a couple of them. They're a bit more technical. I'm not sure if you also view the Q&A window, if you can see them.
Yeah.
2 questions at the top right now, if you'd like to address them.
Yeah. So structured data like JSON-LD, yeah, for sure. It's something we do all the time. So this is like schema markup. Basically, for those who don't know, structured data is like, it's code that you implement on the back end of your website. So it's not something that your audience is going to see visually, but search engines can see it and they can just understand your content a bit better. So you can actually provide information like your name, your location, your address, your phone number, and many other forms of content. And it's just structured in a way for search engines to easily understand what's actually, what the content is. So it's kind of like name and then the value, phone number, then the value. And all the search engines came together to kind of create this schema.org, which is essentially where you can find all the rules and syntax for that. But it definitely does affect rankings. So highly suggest using schema where you can in structured data.
And the second one is if meta tags like description is still a ranking factor. Can open graph meta tags be different from the original description, or will it be penalized?
So the meta description isn't necessarily a ranking factor. However, I would still recommend optimizing at least your primary pages and ensuring that your keyword that you're targeting is included in the meta description. Because when someone performs a search on Google, with the keyword and your result shows up, you're with many other listings there, and your keyword will actually get bolded in the result if it's listed in your meta description. And if you have a meta description that's just a bit more appealing in terms of the copy that you use, you'll stand out from your competitors. So it's a great way to capture just more like screen real estate and more market share from search results. For open graph meta tags, so that's basically, for those who don't know, like when you share a link on like a social platform, that's how that appears there. So when you share something on Facebook, the way it kind of looks with the image and the heading and the description, and like you can say even like author or time to read, stuff like that, that's the open graph tags. They don't have to be the same thing as the meta description, no. No, you won't be penalized.
Another question is, how do you keep abreast of changes in Google's ranking algorithms? Presume there's like dozens, if not hundreds, of updates to the algorithm daily almost.
Yeah, there's a few times a year there's core algorithm updates, which kind of like SEOs go crazy over because it could just fluctuate rankings like crazy. It's like one day it's like, oh, we're doing great. The other day it's like, oh, there's a big ranking, big algorithm update.
Like, oh, what happened?
Yeah, and then there's little updates every day actually as well that are less kind of intensive, but you can keep track. There's plenty of websites out there that keep track of them. So I think Google even has their own kind of backlog on the algorithm updates. Search Engine Land would be another good source for that. Marie Haynes would be a good source for algorithm updates. And just like I don't want to stress too much over the algorithm updates, because at the end of the day, Google is trying to serve their audience the best content possible, and they're always striving towards that goal. So today they're not there, and tomorrow they won't be there either. They're always just trying to get better. So as long as you keep, striving towards that goal with them, you'll be good over the long run. You don't want to think too short term with the algorithm updates. You can't really react too much to them.
There's still quite a number of questions left. We're kind of like running out of time already, so I'm gonna try to we're gonna move into more like I guess like a blitz format. Like, we'll start to have questions. Yeah, to try at least to cover as much ground as possible. Interesting questions came through the chat. When you build a client website, does it help to put your own website in the footer?
As long as they're cool with it, yeah. I would let them know.
Okay, so speaking of duplicate content, what is allowed, like the percentage?
I don't think there's a percentage that you want to strive for. I've heard people say 50%, but that's just a guess, honestly. I would just say, like, if you have two pages that are kind of talking about similar things, if you can rewrite as much as that on one page, I would just kind of do your best, basically. If it's identical copy, like you're definitely gonna get flagged for that, and externally as well. I wouldn't recommend that.
If you have a website that you are not permitted to change content or design, what actions provide the biggest impact to SEO? Just backlinks?
Great question. Backlinks, yeah, that'd be huge. If you can't change the content or design, so all your on page is basically not available, you could look at technical SEO to see if there's anything you can do there. As I mentioned before, probably not a lot that can help, but you can kind of reverse any problems. So yeah, backlinks would be the number one priority.
Oh yeah, like this SEO work for every business. For example, if one of our clients' product or service is not well known.
Yeah, so I actually used to think that there were some businesses where it couldn't, but at the end of the day, it's just content, and your SEO is just a means of getting traffic. So as long as you can, obviously your product and service solves some sort of problem. So if you can just go up the funnel, basically to the top as high as you can go to where there is, searches and traffic, that's where you start with your SEO. So even if someone's not aware of what you offer, they are aware of a problem. And if you can answer those questions and then kind of warm up your audience in that sense, that's the best bet. So it can always work, I think.
And there's a sort of like a double quick question in the chat. Do categories affect SEO and do tags affect SEO?
So categories, it's good to have a category page for your blog or for your e-commerce store. I think they mean blog here though. I'd recommend having them to just organize your content. Tags, I would say tags are more of a way just for your own internal use to filter your content, or maybe even provide users with a better experience. But I don't think if tags would affect it too much. But I definitely recommend having categories for your blog posts and indexing them as well.
One question through chat. I'm trying to understand the question. I'm going to read it. Using Google local business profiles and embeds from YouTube with the same hashtags, I assume, the same keywords, does that help in SEO ranking?
Using Google local business profiles and embeds from YouTube, the same keywords. Yeah, definitely trying to understand what they mean here. So embedding YouTube videos that have the same keyword hashtags into your own pages, yeah, that's a good idea. I would, even if the YouTube video just has the same title that has the keywords in it, that's a good idea. Using Google local business profiles, I would only put kind of your own business information on your own website.
Okay, there's a correction. Embed into the local business profile.
Oh, okay. I think you can embed videos into it. We've had clients where they had a 3D tour embedded in their Google business profile. So yeah, that'll be good. Do that.
Will keyword names for the images will help SEO ranking? And what about alt or index links, I guess alternative text?
Yeah, I'm actually going to quickly add to the last one. I wouldn't do someone else's video into Google local business profile though. I'd probably only do your own content.
Your own?
Keywords for images. So yeah, the alt text. So always add. So when you put an image on your website, the file name, I'd recommend making it just as descriptive as possible, and the alt text as well. So both those factors can be seen by Google. So the alt text is basically if the image kind of can't be seen or if it breaks, that's what will appear. Or for people who are visually impaired, they will use the alt text to kind of hear the audio of it instead of the image. So both of those are very important. Definitely use alt text for sure, but just be descriptive to the image.
Does copyright information, like all rights reserved, Creative Commons, etc., have an effect on SEO rankings?
Not really. I would just make sure you're following best practices and any policies. I would say if you're using other people's images and content, that you do have the license to use them. Otherwise, whatever efforts you put into SEO, let's say you perform really well, if you get a strike or if they don't want using that information anymore, it can basically all come crumbling down at the end of the day if you have loads and loads of pages with content that's not yours or images that aren't yours. But having a specific page on your own website about copyright wouldn't really matter too much.
This is an interesting question from Matt. How would you handle content that is only visible to the public for certain seasons? Like, for example, the winter content that isn't shown during the summer.
Interesting. So I mean, you technically de-index that content and remove it as well. And you can use a temporary redirect as well, which is a 302 redirect code, I believe. But personally, I would recommend keeping like all content up and keeping it indexed and just removing all the links to it, and making it just less accessible. Because if you start messing with like URLs and taking them off and putting them back on, it builds up authority over time. And if you start to mess with that, you can only hurt your SEO performance. But if the pages aren't going to have any kind of keywords and no one's targeting them anyways, then it's not a huge deal.
And the last question in the chat is, does the advice for SEO change if you're providing a free public service rather than selling a product or service?
A free public service rather than selling a product or service. Not necessarily. It really depends on what the free public service is, but you just want to think about who your audience is, where they are, where they're coming from. If they're mainly, coming from, if they're asking questions, you want to look at blogs and kind of move them down the funnel that way. But if there is bottom of the funnel traffic or searches, then it would be very similar.
I know that I have to let you go in a couple of minutes, so just like one last question that just came in from Andrew. Does changing publication date influence page ranking?
Fresh content is best, but Google can...
I suppose it could be, if it's a blog post, for example, on a client's website, an update to an existing, let's say, like story that's published.
Yeah, so I wouldn't change the date unless you're actually changing the content itself. Fresh content is best. A lot of times, like if you have an old piece that's been declining slowly in rankings, updating it can help improve its rankings, and then you can change not only the last updated date, but even in the title tag, you can put reviewed for 2023. That's a very common strategy to improve click-through rate too. But only change that stuff if you actually change the content.
Wonderful. I think we actually managed to go through like all of the questions that were asked. Just as a reminder, like if you're a CanSpace Solutions client, the SEO Plus team has kindly agreed to offer a free SEO assessment to your website. When you exit the webinar, when it ends, it's going to take you directly to that landing page with more information. And Corey, thank you once again for a great session and for sharing your knowledge with us today. Like we equally thank the participants who joined us live. I really hope that everyone has not only enjoyed the session, but is going to walk away with some new knowledge, or at least one new idea they'd like to apply in terms of their SEO effort. On this note, this webinar has been a pleasure to host. For any feedback and ideas, please feel free to email me at artashes@canspace.ca. That's his name. My name is Artashes Tumanov, and I wish you a great rest of the week.
Take care, everyone. Thank you all. Really appreciate all the questions. And thank you, Artash, for having me. This was awesome.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, Corey.
Bye.